there, hi there, ho there, and welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we talk about the joy and excitement of you about women's athletics. We are, of course, in the off season, so to speak, right now, but we do see the aspect of fall sports coming back in about a month, so we're going to look at that and get kind of excited about that. Because there's really not been a whole lot going on lately, but we've been following some things. But anyway, we have a crew of three in here today, and Jared is with family and will not be with us. But I've got Case and Daryl joining me on the broadcast. So, as we like to do at the start of the show, let's go ahead and introduce our participants to the broadcast, as it were. Case, what has been going on with you, man?
Oh, not much. Just keeping busy, driving all over the state. So I'll get to do that in some other states next week. So can't wait.
You get to
Nothing
go down
like
to
nothing like
some of the.
making sure you get to have $4.50 exact change multiple times to go through the West Virginia Parkway.
Oh, good lord. I remember those drives down to the ACC tournament. Yes, when we would take the West Virginia Parkway down, and it seemed like there was one every. Well, there were a few of them for sure, but yeah,
Oh,
it's
just another reason to avoid West Virginia, huh?
another reason indeed. See, years ago we used to go through Knoxville, or excuse me, through Nashville, and then drive on over from Nashville and go to it that way. But with the West Virginia Turnpike, it's a lot faster drive. The sad thing about it is, though, it's a little more expensive. But that's all changed because they're moving the ACC women's basketball tournament to Charlotte, North Carolina, starting at the end of this season. So no more trips to Greensboro, no more trips to some of my favorite restaurants down there. I don't know if I'll be going down to Charlotte or not. I've been to Charlotte a couple times. It's a little too big city for me for the tournament, but we'll see how it turns out for the team. Obviously, that's the most important thing. But
Heck of a lot easier to get to, if nothing else.
much easier, yes, indeed. The good thing about Greensboro was I have a lot of relatives, Casey, in Haw River and Burlington, North Carolina. And Greensboro only about 30 minutes away from those. So uh, mornings and games that Louisville wasn't playing, I was actually over to see some uncles and cousins.
Yeah.
But that no longer will be in effect. I don't have anybody in Charlotte that I know of. Never
Your
know.
your uncles and cousins are not the NC State Wolfpack mascot, right?
Uh, I love Miss Wolf.
You're going to see her.
And if she would be my relative, I would gladly accept her.
Well, I don't think you'd have to leave the tournament site to go see Miss Wolf.
No, no, no.
She's right there.
No, no, no. I've got some great pictures of me and her. But
I bet she misses you.
I'm sure she probably. I'm sure it's changed over the. It's not the same as Wolf, obviously. But anyway, some great pictures of her over the years. But one of the things that I have kind of noticed here is that with the new schools involved here over the last couple of years, and of course we brought in Cal, and of course Stanford, not to mention
Your other favorite mascot.
yeah, the Cardinal, uh, and also there's a school in Texas that has joined up too as well, and SMU is it SMU or TCU? I can never can
SMU.
remember. It is
Listen,
SMU, the Mustang. That's right. So I
ever change.
don't know how they're going to do, but Daryl, what's been going on with you lately?
Just taking advantage of these non-sports weekends. Take care of stuff around the house and kind of chill. Like you were mentioning how hot it is. That literally have heat advisory. Like I will keep my doors and windows drapes like closed all day. Like I'm not opening anything. I'm trying not to do too much because I get hot and it sucks. So just chilling. But also just checking stuff off the list and getting ready for fall. I'm excited. Every weekend is packed for us. We're gonna get out of town for some NFL games this year. A Monday Night Football one, and then Halloween weekend in Vegas. So very excited.
Oh,
Try
that
to,
does sound like fun.
yeah, and I'm gonna go since it's relevant. Going to see Adam Sandler on his tour in Vegas, and that's gonna be Halloween weekend. And since Happy Gilmore is so like relevant right now, I did watch that last night.
The
That'd
new
be
one?
fun. Yeah,
Is
I
it good?
did. I liked it because like there's so many cameos, and I'm just that meme of Leo DiCaprio pointing.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
was
like
you with
that was
every person.
literally that was me like watching and like just I don't want to spoil it, but I was cracking up.
I didn't
But
know it was already out, so I will have to add that
yeah,
to the list.
Netflix last night. I feel like a lot of people got to watch it, and of course, Taylor Swift's boyfriend is also in it. So
Yeah, I'd heard it was coming out, but I hadn't seen
his,
it. It was
his
actually.
actual daughter plays his daughter in the movie this time, and so instead of grandma, it's his daughter.
Well, there you go. That's nice to have then.
Yeah,
Adam's certainly a big entertainment guy here in
can't believe
our
that movie's 30 whatever years old. 30 years old.
it is hard to believe. I'll never forget that scene of him riding the stick horse around the tee
Still plays on on regular TV like what 100 times a year.
Oh, it's always on IFC or something like that. It's almost to the point where you're like, ah, Adam Sandler's on again. You don't really, you know, he's got some other great movies out there that don't show nearly as much.
Yeah,
But
I love that he's still around, still relevant. He's a girl
yeah,
dad.
it is. And then to see him live, I bet that would be outstanding. Gosh, can you imagine? Wow.
Very excited. And Halloween weekend, and it's his last show of the tour. So
Oh, so it'll be a closeout show then.
yeah, I'm excited. So
But
ready to get U of L sports going because we got football tickets for that as well. So literally, our weekends are packed.
sounds like you will be busy and indulging in a lot of fall activities. And we'll talk about some of the ones that are coming up today in about a month or so. So we'll get into all those. As for myself, just another kind of quiet week. I've been, like you guys, I've been avoiding the heat and hanging out in the house. But yeah, I'm not very happy about the invasion of the rhinoceros beetle. So we've got to find out where he's coming in and then by all means eliminate him. We've only seen one so far. And somebody mentioned to me the other day, it could have been a larva in a plant Sonya brought in,
Mm-hmm.
and then it hatched and came out. And I said, maybe, but she checks those things pretty closely. And the guy said, they can get through the smallest cracks too in a door or anything. Well, anyway, they're hideous. I'm glad they're not lifelike in our size. Can you imagine one of those things coming at you? Ugh,
Yeah.
very, very scary. As we'll move on into some other stuff, then we've got a Cardinal couple season coming up here that we're going to have. Jared not with us, by the way. I want to mention that real quickly. He's with family today, but has already been kind of busy taking photos at men's events, and there's nothing for the women have really started yet, but we will be looking forward to, as Case mentioned in his article today, fall sports will be starting soon. Uh, and it looks like the first one that's going to kick it off here is going to be a couple of exhibitions for women's soccer, which we never really find out about, and they don't really have an audience for those, except for parents maybe. But August 14th, Cards women's soccer team will open on the road, going to Auburn, and then going to Vandy, two SEC pairs for the women's soccer team to go up against. And Case, is this team going to be as good as it was last year or better?
Hopefully better. It's tough to say exactly what they'll get out of this season, and I wrote an article too that I've held off on my prognostications about this women's soccer team. Too much, other than what we've talked about on the show, but just looking for what they'll be able to do, as we've seen some departures, but more players that we expected a lot out of that have grown into this team, grown into collegiate soccer, and yeah, it's going to be a tough start with 2 SEC teams on the road, but I mentioned in the article, and you alluded to, we won't know really what happens in whatever close scrimmages they end up playing, whether those are against Ohio State or whoever else they might play. Those usually happen. We usually find out that they happened, and then that's the extent of it, right? We might try to follow along on social media, and they'll talk about somebody scoring but mention nothing about any score, and you don't know if they've tweeted out all the scores or what happened. So those are more just to get the gears oiled against different teams, players that aren't your teammates, see what kind of concepts you've got working, and I don't think that anyone is too worried about what the results of those are, whether that's the players, whether that's the coaching staffs of either team that participates. Everybody's just kind of getting out there and playing a scrimmage. So we don't know if any of those are planned. We just assume that they are. So yeah, we probably won't get, unless they're on SEC Network Plus, which they probably will be, these games against Auburn and Vandy. We won't know a whole lot about those likely as well, other than the game recaps, and then coming in to see them take on Detroit Mercy for the opening event of the home season on the women's side. I think men's soccer will play at home before that, but
That'll be interesting as well to bring in Ed and Daryl. It looks like we've got 6 home games in a row after that 2-game road set, and all of them basically out of conference, going from all the way from just August 21st to September 7th. So this will be a good chance for the Card fans to kind of get out there and see this team early, right?
Yeah, and I was also thinking a benefit of those little scrimmages you don't hear anything out of is just getting, like Kay said, getting the gears oiled, and there's just something different about playing in a real, like, against another team. I can't call it a real game, but against another team that gets your body, the adrenaline running, and you're going to see how you're going to play in the season. So potentially trying to avoid injuries when the games do count. Hopefully that, we get no injuries out of those games. That's what we're looking for. Just make sure everybody's healthy. It's so hot, and just in this area, the humidity, I think they also need to get conditioned for. So, having those games in this time of the year, all weeks in a row, it could condition them to their endurance to go further into the season and just be a better conditioned team.
And certainly conditioning the key in soccer, because you are constantly on the go, no doubt about it. Kind of looking, gang, at this 2025 roster that Karen Ferguson Days has put together. And I haven't had a chance to dissect it too much, but just kind of looking through it early, it looks like you've got some players back that obviously made quite a bit of contribution last year. You had Betsy Huckabee's back, Mackenzie Geigel, certainly one that played a lot for the Cards, going into some of the others that were sufficient for Louisville, or relevant. I shouldn't say sufficient, I should say relevant. You had Brooklyn Lee, who should come in and really have a good season, I think, for the Cards as a junior. In case some of the other players we're looking at here that may be able to step in, Carson Cherry's one I've heard a lot about.
I should hope so. Senior captain, center defender. I think we've talked a lot about Carson. But wrong roster. Sorry, I moved over to the men's soccer. Moved over to men's soccer for a second there. But you mentioned Betsy Huckabee, Mackenzie Geigley. I think we'll look for, I would say, more out of Geigley offensively, but I don't know that you can get much more. If she can get a repeat of last season, that'd be great. Carson Cherry, you don't expect to see as much offensively, but if you get it, then that's cool. She scored a lot on set pieces early in the season. helped with Brooke Dardano's assists early on. Another offensive player we'll be looking at is Liza Soydam from she's from Lancaster, PA. Where did she play before? She's a transfer in. She'll be a junior. She came from Monmouth. She's got 2 years of eligibility remaining. Last season, she was co-midfielder of the year in the Colonial. First team All-CAA. First team All-ECAC, which I guess is like a regional conference thing there. Monmouth were the regular season champs. As a freshman, she was the rookie of the year in the conference. So, a lot coming there, potentially to help bolster up that midfield, which will be good because I think we expected a big step forward from Lauren Contini, and she transferred out. So, we'll see what's happening there. Also, we'll look for more from A.G. Gibson, a sophomore who is from Assumption, stepping up there. E.K. Scroll, Hadley Snyder, other seniors, Emerson Jennings, that we would expect to make big leaps. Not necessarily big leaps, but to continue to contribute. Aaron Floyd, you maintain. This is a very strong core for this team that has been together for a long time. And then a lot of younger players such as Lee, like you mentioned, Davey, Huckabee, A.G. Gibson, as well as a lot of good incoming freshmen. So there's a lot to be optimistic about for this season, I think, and we'll just see where it goes from here.
I'm still thinking about this schedule, guys. Like, I think it might be benefit the Cards pretty well. What you pointed out, Paul, just that those games there in a row that they get to play at home and the first 2 on the road. I'm just thinking about like the heat, and they're getting out of town for the first 2 games. Maybe steal one of those, and then the teams that are coming into here, I feel sorry for them that they have to come to this heat and play. So maybe, like I said, the conditioning will benefit them if they can get some good minutes out of those scrimmages and get these players ready to have a good schedule heading into the midpoint of it.
I'm just not sure we can say that they're escaping the heat when they're going to Auburn, Alabama, and
the humidity.
Auburn, Alabama, and Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah,
are less
nothing
humid and
as
hot
Louisville,
than
for
Louisville.
sure.
Yeah, well, we're in the valley. I don't know.
Yeah, indeed. One of the things I am looking at here, Daryl, is we've got a few more local players than I've remembered being on a team in a while. As it looks like Karen Ferguson Days is hit the crew at South Oldham High School, pretty heavily. Certainly a powerhouse in women's soccer, and some good players from there. Also been hitting the Assumption ranks up. So is it? Ferguson Days has always been one who's never hesitated to go overseas and find players or across the nation. But is this a trend you see going, where she's going to start recruiting a little more locally?
Trying to figure out if that is, does that mean that the local product is getting better, or maybe our quality of players is, I'm not sure. I don't want to insult anyone or anything, but is the quality of player pool, like the pool of players that we can pool, is it greater? I don't know.
I think we talked a lot about it as Racing Louisville was being formed.
Yeah, I was going to say the soccer community around here is definitely getting better, so maybe that is a huge draw.
Yeah, and I think that definitely has something to do with it. You look at players that have been a part of the academy with Racing Louisville. Betsy Huckabee played with that academy team. A.G. Gibson played with that academy team. The Morris twins played with the academy. We talked about a little bit about Callie McKinney taking the assistant coaching position at SMU after being the head coach at Bellarmine. She was a head coach for Racing Louisville W League team, the USLW League, which is the kind of kind of the academy team, but also mostly collegiate players. I think like 23 of Louisville's 27 rostered players were playing on teams from various areas. So yeah, I think that as women's soccer in Louisville has grown, and as women's soccer across the country has grown, there is a lot more availability domestically than needing to go international. And I think that you also have seen those international players not necessarily work out in the long run.
Yeah.
A lot of them will end up transferring back out because, or just leaving the program because they don't feel that, and they may be correct. They don't feel that women's collegiate soccer in the U.S. is necessarily preparing them for what they want to do, or they're just homesick, or all kinds of various other reasons they might not want to be here anymore. But most of those international players that we've seen depart Louisville, some have departed and gone on to other programs. Some have then departed those programs and gone back to Europe. But a lot of them just abandon collegiate soccer because it's not serving them. And so I think that when you look at the U.S. sports atmosphere,
Landscape.
the landscape, you look at how collegiate sports are part of that and how that culture is created here in the U.S., then it makes more sense to have more of a domestic product. And I think when we talked about last week, we talked about a lot of international players for field hockey. It's very different for that, right? There's not as big of a club scene in field hockey everywhere else, even in Europe or the Pacific, where it is more of a cultural sport. There's still not that big club scene that's available, big academy scene that's available, and so USA collegiate soccer or collegiate field hockey is still a very good training ground. It's not really necessarily true for international players when it comes to women's soccer, so I think that might also be contributing.
We also kind of have to take a look here at a move that Karen Ferguson Days made last year in the coaching staff, bringing in an assistant we didn't really know a whole lot about in Olivia Mills, who came in from Elon College, and a lot of our fans out there may say, "Well, what's an Elon College?" It's a school in North Carolina, and it's really not too far from Burlington and Haw River, where a lot of my relatives live. And one of my uncles even has Elon banners in his house. So how about that? But she came in with her as an assistant. The Cards went 7, 6, and 5. 2, 5, and 3 in the ACC. She has got a couple goalkeepers back, though, from what we can tell, right? In Kimball and Floyd, that put up some nice numbers during her leadership.
Yeah, I think this is the first time in a while that Louisville has returned the number 1 and number 2 in goal. And Aaron Floyd has maintained that number 1 position. I know that when Kimball came in last season, we talked about how there might actually be a competition. And I don't think that wound up being the case. I think that Kimball was good, but Floyd was just. I mean, it was her position. Kimball got a lot of minutes because Floyd had some injury issues last season, so I think that it is very important for Louisville to have brought Kimball back, to not have a rotating door at that backup goalkeeper position, as they have in the past. And you look at what you've got in goal. You have those two who are both seniors. Not sure about eligibility remaining on Kimball, whether there is an extra year there, but I know that Aaron Floyd's played all 4 of her years, so we're past COVID exemptions, so I think that we are I think we're there on years with Floyd, and if we're there on years with Kimball, then you look at having 2 two consistent goalkeepers there in the goalkeeper room with Brielle Baker, who you bring in as a freshman, and you say, all right, look, this is probably your spot moving forward, right? You look at the roster, you look at what else is there, unless they're going to bring in a transfer. This is an opportunity for Baker to sit behind two good goalkeepers to get familiar with the team, and then, we see what happens next season. It's very unlikely that you get a Gabriel Cazellas situation where a goalkeeper is going to come in, be a star as a freshman, and then play for 6 seasons and break every record in games played, saves everything. Because it's like, well, that's a volume game. But, Cazellas was incredible. But it's much more encouraging for me as a former goalkeeper to say, yeah, we're not going to throw a freshman in the fire coming into collegiate soccer, right? And it's a risk that you could take potentially. If she's open to it, you potentially throw a red shirt on Brielle Baker because you've got two goalkeepers that you can trust. Now, the risk with that is that if two is one and one is none, so if one of your goalkeepers goes down, all of a sudden you don't have another goalkeeper. But you could always take the red shirt off of Baker, right? So potentially you do that, and then you don't have 3 years of Brielle Baker. After she has sat for a year, you've got 4. And that could be an interesting wrinkle to that as well. So I'm encouraged by the goalkeeper situation.
I think one of the other things that you kind of look at here is when you look at the addition of Mills to the staff. She has primarily been in her career, and she was at Campbell. She was also at Elon, a goalkeeper coach, which certainly, to specify into that all, she kind of, dabbles in everything else, recruiting and other things. She's primarily there to instruct the goalkeepers, which I think might be a boon to us as far as recruiting future goalkeepers down the road, Daryl.
Yeah, and I was looking at the roster, their sizes, just listen to everything Case was saying about it, and I don't know if I would redshirt her this year. I just think that you put her out there a little bit, get her feet wet with the 2 seniors, and Kimball has the size advantage over Floyd, so it is a little interesting that Floyd seems to be the better goalkeeper. I didn't know you were a goalkeeper, Case. That's a fun fact for me.
Yeah, and I was in a similar position when I was in high school, right? Like I was the reserve
okay.
for my team, and I was 6'2", right? And our starter was 5'9" ish.
Okay, that's literally like what it is.
It's
for
pretty
this.
much the same, right? Like there's different
Quickness,
ways of playing, right? You have smaller goalkeepers are very cat-like. You see a lot of explosive leaps. They're able to get down faster. That's something that people don't think about with the height. With the height, you're like, you can reach up more,
higher,
but also getting down. Like you need to get down to the ground very quickly. It's like, well, I can only kick my foot out and gravity yank me to the ground at the same rate as anybody else. So if I have farther to go, that's gonna make a difference. So I think we saw last season they both had their strengths in different ways. But I think that when the position is Floyd's to lose, and I don't think that it's necessarily a battle at this point.
As we'll kind of move into field hockey and move out of women's soccer a little bit, it's kind of taking a look at the field hockey team from last year. I think, like I kind of commented on your article, Case, this was a disappointing season for Louisville field hockey. And there's no other way to paint this fence. This is a team that, unfortunately, has kind of fell by the wayside this year. And I don't know if you can fully blame it on coaching. You've got one of the best coaches in the nation in Justine Sowery, but 6-11 overall, 1-7 in conference, which is the glaring stat I look at, Daryl. I mean, we're not doing too good in ACC here, huh?
Yeah, well, that's kind of what happens when you play in one of the better conferences. But I think we've um, talked about it before. I have confidence in this program. I think that they're still a sleeper on other teams' schedules. Like if they look past Louisville, that they could let one go by. So like the record doesn't reflect great numbers, but they're still not the worst team in the conference. I don't think. I don't think other teams are sleeping on the Cards.
One of the things I think you have to look at is the Cards ended up losing 8 of their 9 final games in the season. Uh, admittedly, a lot of those were conference games. Admittedly, this is a very, very, very powerful conference, but they did fall to Ohio State. Uh, the thing about it, when I look at these games, they were all 1 goal games, basically. When you take a look at the losses, and several of them went into 1 and 2 overtimes, really only, you take a look at it, Duke was the only team who really kind of had our number in those final 9 games. Of course, Duke has a very good soccer program and women's soccer program, but and it was at Traeger too. So I remember being at there for that one. This one was kind of an embarrassment to us to bring them in, and of course, when you speak of Duke and speak of their skills and such, they got a pretty good coach over there too, Case.
Yeah, you don't say. Um, yeah, that I hesitate to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Um, compare Louisville in any way to Florida State, but you look at this women's field hockey program for Louisville for the past few years. They've been a little bit um, behind, and last season was a struggle, particularly. But like Daryl said, I don't think anybody is sleeping on them. I don't think anybody looks at Florida State football's 2-10 season last year. Despite the fact that it's very funny and everybody can joke and we like to laugh, point and laugh.
They, ha-
Uh,
they haven't been right since Lamar. I'll die on that hill.
like
Go.
but nobody is looking at Florida State like, oh ha ha, what a like walkover program, like everyone is gonna beat the crap out of them every like no,
Right.
I don't know. I think that people still are looking at it like, well, they're probably gonna bounce back. Same thing with what Clemson 2 years ago. They won like 7 games, but nobody was like, well, I guess this is the end of Clemson. They're never gonna be good at football again, right? And so when you look at this little field hockey team, I don't think anybody is looking at them and saying, wow, they've really fallen off. They're never going to be competing in the upper echelon again. I mean, they're still a ranked team. They had the season they had last year, and they were still like 39th in RPI. They were ranked for most of the season with a losing record because you play in the best asterisk, arguable, whatever, I guess, conference in the country. And then all your other games are against the other best conference in the country. Like they play like 6 games against the Big Ten. You might as well be in both leagues. That's hard. They're hard games. You're not going to win every single one of them. Eventually, you have to win them, right? You have to win them so that you can make the tournament. You have to win them so that you can show yourself you're capable of doing it. And then if you do make the tournament, you got to win them to advance. So it's not like you can say, well, look at all these quality losses. But sure, we need some quality wins too. And I think that we've just been, I don't know, lacking the edge to get across the finish line. And I think that some of it has been bad luck. Some of it has just been they haven't executed when they need to execute. Like you said, I don't know that it's necessarily coaching. It's just that they're not getting it done. And so you look at this season and you say, get it done. People talk about the NFL and one-score games. One-score games in the NFL statistically are they're very even. On average, teams in one-score games are going to have like a 500 record. And sometimes you'll see a team like last year's Kansas City Chiefs where they were like 11-1 in one-score games. And it's not sustainable. That's just luck sometimes. You look at Louisville losing a bunch of 1-goal games in field hockey. That's probably not going to happen every time. Like, even the ones that go to overtime, right? Like, that's going to balance itself back out some. And so you say, well, if we can turn some of that bad luck into good luck, even if we can get back to 500 in 1-goal games, we're going to be in a lot better position. And then just win the games you need to win. And I think that is that's the move for this women's field hockey team.
One of the things that I looked at here, and I couldn't believe it. I was kind of stunned. It has been 15 years since Pam Buston has been here.
Oh wow.
It just startled me when I saw that. I'm like, well, Sarah's been our coach for 6-7 years? No, 15 years.
Oh my gosh! When you say it like that,
I know. Yeah, it's just like she's. And really enjoyed the time that Pam Buston was here, but you got to remember Pam left Louisville because she wanted to be in the ACC, and so she went to Duke. Well, guess what? We're in the ACC now, but she has gone into the Duke program and really established a very, very strong program there, and certainly one of the programs that I think that you kind of look at and earmark on your calendar and go, yeah, this is going to be a tough one. We're not going to do so well against these guys probably if we don't have our best game with us, because she's really turned them into a strong program. And of course, what makes it even worse is we have to go there this year. Playing there is never an easy task, for sure. We'll certainly hope that she can turn it around a little bit. I think that the fact that we don't have to go out to California this year and play, obviously in Berkeley against Cal, and I haven't seen on the UC Davis. Is UC Davis coming in here this year? I didn't see anything on that.
You mean Stanford?
No, UC Davis. We played them last year.
Well, yeah, but they're not in conference. We just played them because we were out there.
Yeah, well, that's true. It was a game like that, but no, I haven't seen on Stanford. Is Stanford coming in here this year, or we have to go out there?
We are in Palo Alto, Friday, September 26th.
And it used to kind of be in traveling and such, at least in the early days of these two schools, when you went out to play one, you played the other because of the distance that schools had to travel, go and play them and stuff. It looks like that's kind of been opened up a little bit now. So, but all right, hoping that field hockey can make a comeback, get things rolling.
And just one more thing, forget they got the new assistant coach this season, so hopefully they'll bring some fresh ideas to the program.
Yeah, no, I was kind of getting ready to move in that there, so I'm glad you brought it up. What do we know about this coach?
I remember when we were onboarding, got to chat with him a little bit, tell him what we do, and he kind of gave a little insight on why he ended up moving on from his previous place, which off the top of my head, I'm forgetting. I want to say it was a light blue team, like Long Island U or something. And he said when he signed on to there, they had promised him this or that, such as like, they're going to build a new pitch, a new field / entire I don't even think they had a field, guys. Like they were playing like in a parking lot, something. And they promised this and that to him 2 years later, still hadn't even broken ground, no blueprints, that kind of stuff. So he moved on. And so I think he was at Syracuse as well, now that I'm thinking about it. Just trying to refresh my memory.
When you kind of go back and take a look at the career and the things that have kind of surrounded Mike Pallister, who's actually not an assistant, he's actually an associate.
Yeah, I'm seeing that now. I forget, associate head coach, and I was right, Long Island U, and I still want to say Syracuse as well, but
he got that bump there to associate. And when you kind of take a look at the career and the resume that he's got, he certainly was a coach that I think Justine Sauer looked at and said, hey, this guy could probably be very beneficial to our program.
So it says he was an assistant coach at Syracuse, and then they went back to back Elite Eight appearances, produced 9 All ACC, 7 All American honorees. So he's got something going on. Hopefully, he can bring that sort of success to another ACC program, U of L.
See, when you take a look at some of the players that the Cards had in field hockey that took place in the USWNT events out there and that played, obviously, you had the Junior Pan American Games roster, Izzy Bianco, Masters, and also Wallerton were all on those rosters for sure. Uh, that kind of experience has got to be great for a player getting ready to come into a season.
Yeah, I mean, we always like to see Cardinals playing at the next level, and the next level really for field hockey is international play. So to be part of the development program for the U.S. is fantastic. We did see, like you mentioned, Izzy Bianco got some senior team play last season, which was kind of a non-competitive year for international field hockey. A lot of friendlies, some lower tournaments, but not necessarily Olympic qualifiers, not necessarily World Cup qualifiers, but still to get the call up to the senior team is fantastic for her. And we've talked a lot about how we're seeing more women's soccer players playing in these summer leagues, get you more touches on the ball. It's great to be in a competitive environment. Training is fantastic. You can do all kinds of training that you want. You can do skills challenges and drills and everything, but there's nothing that can keep you fresh and keep you prepared for an upcoming competitive season like competition. Even if it's friendlies, even if it's competition, that doesn't matter. Playing against other players with something on the line, even if it's just pride, it makes a difference. You're getting real time action. You're getting full speed play. A lot of the times in these field hockey events, these camps, like the Nexus event last week, you're playing not just with your teammates or against your teammates, but with and against a lot of other players that you're going to see during this collegiate season. And so it can help you do some early scouting. It can help you improve your game based on the way that other people are playing as well. And so there's no downside, right? And except for the risk of injury, which is going to exist in any situation. I mean, people get hurt doing off-season training, so it's not like this is really that much of a bigger difference. So I think it's great to see them get the opportunity to compete at that level.
Playing very good competition. Let's hope we can get it back over the 500 mark and have a good season for them in a very, very tough conference. As we kind of move over and then take a little bit of a look at volleyball, and Daryl wrote a very good article about this on Friday. If you have not seen that Cardinal Couple yet, highly recommend you go back and read that. A nice write on that. Daryl was talking about CCs, but we're not talking about ounces or anything like that. We're talking about two players, Kara Cressy and Chloe Ciccone.
Yeah, I'm excited. Having a head coaching change and shift can be scary sometimes, but I really do think that Coach Busman Kelly had the like intentions on. She probably always had the intentions of ending up at Nebraska, so I don't think she was like ill-willed against U of L. When she kind of knew that was in the works. I think she prepared us to just still be a powerhouse, and I think we can be grateful for her and appreciative to leave the program the way she did and set us up for potential future success. And when we move on to Dan, it seems like the Cards aren't really skipping a beat in their recruiting. And you've got Kara coming back, and now the addition another transfer coming in, getting recognition nationally of being a player to watch on a national watch list. I mean, it gets fans excited. More good news to come out of the program makes them want to get out there and go down to the Center for those games. And ticket sales, I'm sure, still hard to get because of the people that have been very avid fans of this program to get it to where it is today. So just to see the players continuing to the recruiting to continue being a national recognition is just it's very exciting. I'm looking forward to another fun year of Cards volleyball.
Should be a good season for the Cards, and certainly one of the things that we'll look for is to see Dan Meskey, who was, I won't say groomed, but was basically the coach in waiting for this team. And
Seriously, so many times I would look up and he's leading the player huddles. So I mean, it's almost like we're not really skipping any beats here.
yeah, they're very familiar with Dan's style, I think, in his on court instructions and abilities and stuff like that. And Danny was just kind of, what's the old term, laissez faire. Said, yep, you go do that, Dan. I want to be the head coach, but you go out there and take care of the nuts and bolts. You build the machine and then I'll drive it. But he did a great job with it.
I think it might have been the other way around. I don't want to take anything away from Danny Busman Kelly and all the work that she did with U of L. Just putting
she
that
did
out there.
a lot of good things with U of L. She did, and you can name it that way. But I normally when you hear about a coaching change and on that high level of sport like that, you get a little antsy with Dan. I'm not antsy at all. You got a guy coming in here who definitely knows the program, has helped recruit players for the program. I just wonder how much his style will kind of differ from what Danny recommended that the team do. But certainly, we'll look forward to maybe doing some articles on him and kind of hopefully he'll be at the fall sports media conference that they have every year. Although I haven't seen anything listed on that yet.
I'm sure he will be, though.
You would think that he would be there along with certainly what you're going to find come in women's soccer, and you would also think that field hockey will be a representative. I don't know. In past years, they've kind of mixed the men and the women's sports in there, which has made for kind of a long kind of session. And although I missed last year, unfortunately, I think it was a good thing, but we do women's sports. Sitting there and listening to John Michael talk about men's soccer didn't have much interest for me. Although a lot of people were interested in it. We'll see how it goes this year. In other things, Daryl put a nice little blurb in here about beer.
Yeah, another collab with a local brewery. I thought it was funny. I thought it was the same brand at first, but then it was just the same kind of beer, another blonde. So I'm curious, was this the brewery's decision, or is U of L just really like blondes?
Well, I think they are the least offensive beer. Like the most people are going to drink it. I think.
Yeah.
When you look at like a blonde ale, it's very similar to a lager. Pretty much every light beer is a lager.
Yeah.
So yeah, you see that, and the funny thing about this being a collaboration with Goodwood, I believe the other one is with BBC, which used to be the same company. Like
isn't it Gravely? Is
it Gravely the other one?
Yeah, Gravely is the first one, the Cardinale.
Yeah, they did.
Okay. Yeah. Then no, never mind. Disregard on my previous statement, but yeah, I think that's the reason for the blonde ale situation.
I think it's just kind of weird, like you're competing, like which blonde ale am I gonna get? Like I don't know, maybe people have their preferences on which brewery they like or whatever, but
blonde ale has always been one of my favorites as well too. from a long time back. I started drinking those, and I've always enjoyed them. I think one of the things about the pale ale for me is it's got a nice kind of balanced out taste to it. It doesn't hit you in between the eyes and knock you down. And I enjoy a pale ale.
I hope we get a red ale. That would make sense.
I see
That
a lot
could
of
be
local red ales. It's a very Irish beer.
Yeah, but
that could be interesting. Yeah, a red ale. Because the pale ale when
you
you
could even
have
call it red L.
well,
Look at
that
you.
would be certainly a
Time to go
gimmick.
to BBC then. Go to BBC, the one we don't have somebody with,
Yeah, I'll do
or
that.
Falls
I'll put that
City.
on my
I
list.
think Falls City we have done something with.
Yeah,
Yep.
Fall City and local. That of course dating myself and my age here. Back when I was just beginning to drink beer. Back
So,
when
like, what, 10 years old?
yeah, many years ago when I was 14. No,
1927.
yeah, back right when depression hit, I started drinking beer. Case it was
right after Prohibition ended, right?
we used. I worked on a Jefferson County paint truck when I was just out of college or just out of high school, and it was a summer job that I'd lined up, and we would go around basically and paint guardrails and bridges and stuff like that throughout the county. But we would always end up down at the Fall City Brewery at the end of the day for some strange reason. I don't know how that happened, but the paint truck would pull in there. We would go into the tap room and knock back cold Fall City until it was time to go back to the shop and punch out. I can tell that now, so many years later. But that was my. Yeah, I drew an early like and taste for Fall City, and certainly, although they've changed it so much over the years, I don't even know if it's still around anymore or not. But it's certainly not the same beer as it used to be. But back when they had it out the first time around, it was really good. Enjoyed it.
I'm almost over beer, you all. It's weird.
You're almost over beer.
Yeah, hurts my stomach.
Well, I haven't been drinking as much of it as I used to because, of course, part of that has to go with my kidneys, and they don't recommend that you dump a lot of beer on those if they're damaged and going out on you.
Probably not.
And so, occasionally, I will, if we are out dining somewhere or something, uh, I will have a nice beer with my meal, and depending on what the restaurant has available, but I usually don't go more than one. The days of me sitting there and drinking beer for dinner at the restaurant while Sonya ate food, nah, it doesn't happen anymore. I had to give those days up. But looking at some other things that have been kind of going on here with activities, of course, we take a look at in a month things happen coming in. If you're going to take a look at one of these three programs that traditionally kick off our fall sports, the major ones that kick it off, like volleyball, obviously women's soccer, and field hockey. I'll ask you all kind of give me an idea of which one do you think is going to have the most success this year. In case you can start us out.
Volleyball.
Volleyball.
That was a quick answer out of the both of y'all. Volleyball, volleyball.
Look, they changed Derby to a points event, and the highest points winning horse usually still wins the Derby. So I'm gonna go with the horse that has had the most success, being volleyball. It's continuing that success.
Kind of like the Triple Crown, you go with the horse that's been running the best lately, right? But yeah, certainly volleyball has been a very storied and tradition program at Louisville for many, many years. And we certainly, I don't think there will be a drop off with Dan Muskie. In fact, I look forward to see what his reign will bring us And you have to kind of wonder, should we have made the move a couple years ago with Dan? But
No, no. You know what?
I'm gonna say it again. I do not stand for this like Danny Busman Kelly like downgrading. Like
Oh,
she brought the program to the prominence that it
yeah,
has.
we're
Like
not
I
gonna do
don't
that.
understand.
And I think she knew like the championship would be in Louisville, so like that's a huge draw to stay as well. Like, imagine riding off into the sunset after taking your team to its first title. So, like, I think she had plenty to play for. Still, she had Anna DeBeer, which was a huge uh, part of her career. So, just I think it was the perfect timing. And like we've said, there's not going to be much. I think it'll be a seamless transition. And if anything, I'm gonna need Dan to step up his sparkly blazer game because we will miss that. I will miss that so much. I appreciate his clean cut, athletic look, but sparkly blazers put this team in this program into a new category.
Yeah, we need something from Dan that's gonna distinguish him from what's his name? Why is it not coming to me right now?
What are the
Pittsburgh coach.
oh my god. Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Right. Well, I can't come up with his name. But like he always just wears the polo and the slacks and always looks the same.
Glasses.
Yeah, it's like no, we don't want that. The unfortunate thing is that Dan can't really have asked Danny to leave him the Blazers because I think they're still just gonna work for her at Nebraska.
She's taking them. Oh,
I mean they're the same color, so it's just you wear
and
them
Nebraska is red. That's right.
You're gonna smack yourself in the face, Case. Dan Fisher.
Dan. Yeah, of course. Dan.
Another Dan.
Yep.
Dan and Dan are gonna have quite the rivalry in the coming years, and probably retire and have a radio show.
This one should be a lot of fun to watch for sure. Those two going at each other. Anna, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, had a very successful career here, and is now with the Indy Ignite up in the PVV, the Pro Volleyball Federation. I haven't been following her that closely up there. What do we see? And can you all give me any further information on how her pro career is going?
Well, I'll tell you guys that I ran into her.
Yeah, I did want to talk about that too. You did meet her, didn't you?
Yeah, I ran into her immediately. You want to talk about following somebody? She's really hard to miss. She stands out. So immediately walked up to her, said what's up. I told her, I noticed she didn't have her boot on, asked how that was going. She said that, she healed really quickly and so she's just working to get back to the full speed and potential, and that she's finishing up her MBA. And it was a nice chat with her, and she's all smiles. And I told her I really did I can't imagine being in her shoes, and I would lose sleep over just the way the things played out. But very appreciative to her for all the memories, and she gave it
It's just so good to see that she actually came back
right
to finish her degree and then get the MBA and do that. You love that in her, and the fact that she is
finish what she started kind of lady.
Yeah, she is, and and her parents are the nicest people in the world too. I've had a chance to talk with them on a couple of occasions, and they just one of the saddest moments was when they were sitting right behind me on media row when Anna went down with the injury.
Yeah,
of course, it went completely hush inside the arena, and they were scared to death. Fortunately, Jared was texting me everything he saw down there, so I was able to keep her parents updated. But unfortunately, it wasn't great news. But she's back. She's playing well. I rank her up there as one of my favorite volleyball players of all time, and so we'll go with that. But believe it or not, Kay, we have rolled up on the noon hour. Been a great discussion today, and talked about some wonderful things, and covered some of the upcoming events that'll be with us in about a month or so. A little less time than that if you're looking at women's soccer. So let's go ahead and get into our final thoughts. And who wants to go first? I'll just throw it up to you all. Jump ball.
Trying to think of what my final thoughts are.
I'll go
You
ahead
go
and
first, Paul.
Yeah.
yeah. I very rarely get a chance to do the final thoughts first, so I will go ahead and throw some of mine out there and discuss them with you just a little bit. When I take a look at what we've been kind of doing here at Cardinal Couple in these off months, and before we actually get into the meat and bones of reporting on events and results and teams and players and such, uh, I've enjoyed kind of following how Jeff Walls is trying to rebuild Louisville women's basketball again. Uh, One of the things that he did do, which I'm very happy about, is he brought in two very good transfer guards to the program. Not to say that we weren't, you know, okay in that position to begin with. When you take a look at he had Amani Berry coming back, Taj Roberts, of course, back. Mac Randolph could be a swing player. Either way, all very good players. But when he was able to actually get a player like, and the one that I'm most excited about out of the two coming in would definitely have to be Scott. I think Arena Scott is going to just come in here and be incredible for us. Arena Scott is certainly a player that I think did some wonderful things in her career before Louisville, and for her to be able to come in here and join us, I think we're going to benefit from her greatly. So Jeff Walls has his way. He can always seem to, what's the old term, pull a rabbit out of the hat and bring something out that's going to keep card fans excited about the skills that are available there. Case, what do you got for me?
Yeah, I'll take it back to swimming and diving. Talked a little bit about that last week when you and I talked about national participation for U of L players and the World University Games last weekend in Berlin. Women's swimmers Julia Dennis and Caroline Larson both took gold in the 4x100 mixed freestyle relay. So congratulations to them on a gold medal. Ella Welch finished 5th in the 100-meter butterfly, and Kim Herkel finished 9th in the breaststroke. So a lot of good participation for Louisville women in that event, and congratulations to them on their wins.
Absolutely, indeed. Congratulations to them. Arthur Albiro has built quite a program down there over the years, and one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to talk to and meet as well. And so, certainly, he's very happy here. He's doing a great job here. His kids have come here and been fantastic accesses to the program and assets to the program. That's the term I was looking for, assets. And hey Dan, why don't you get us a couple kids in here? Take a look at what Arthur did. No, Daryl, what do you got for me?
Yeah, still same, trying to figure out what final thoughts are. WNBA season's going on, and they just had their All-Star weekend last weekend, and I wrote about how I got Thomas in New Jersey. No, not the state, New Jersey. He got Dallas, which we are not converting to support Dallas in any way. We're just supporting the Cards. Just got to make that clear. He always likes getting a New Jersey, which I think that they're really great quality. And, he's been talking about the season and the players with, other people he runs into around town. So I think that's cute and important. Made me smile. He ran into an old man the other day who had some Caitlin Clark stuff on. So they just started chatting about their merch and the sport itself. And I think it's great that, two grown men talking about women's basketball just on a random afternoon. So just cute, and I'm continuing watching the cards. None of them were in the All-Star game. Would like to see a new face in there soon for U of L, but we're holding strong with Maisha, Dana, and Emily in the league.
And speaking of Dana, 1,000 career points in the W.
Yes, and they I don't know if you all got to see that they got together for Mikasa Robinson's wedding last weekend as well. So good to see some faces, familiar faces. Coach Walls was there. Josie Williams was there. I think she was a bridesmaid. Dana was there. I think she was a bridesmaid as well. Just good to see the gang all back together. I think it probably brought a lot of memories back to them.
And what an embodiment she was for Louisville women's athletics. Just always a big smile on her face. Always, glad to see you. Would talk to you. Come over to the media row and just see how things are going. And even after she was no longer playing, she tried to stay in touch with the program as much as she could, do the things that she could. And I'll tell you, between her and Courtney Walton, probably a couple of my favorite players of all time on that women's basketball team. Of course, Courtney with the program, director of operations, and certainly an asset to Louisville. But you kind of knew that Courtney wanted to stay with Louisville all along. And when she went to Georgia Tech, we didn't think it'd be long, and we were right. Only 1 year, and she was back here in the Ville. So, but I want to thank everybody for listening to our podcast today. Certainly had a lot of fun speaking with you, and certainly hope that you'll come in as we get closer to the start of the fall season next week, as we discuss more things that have happened in the world of Louisville women's athletics. Until then, thanks everybody. Have yourself a great rest of the weekend.